Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on to the second part of our program now. If I can, by the way, what a great meal that was, and you people, you're quick eaters. You must be used to eat and go, and take care of business, because a beautiful meal today presented by the Sheraton Vancouver Guildford Hotel. By the way, please feel free to tweet. We're Twitter friendly. You can tweet where you are and what you're doing at the event if you choose to do so at SBOFT, SBOFT. Surrey Board of Trade, feel free, if you will. I'd like to ask Taco Van Papa now to come up and make his presence felt, the pride of Macquarie Hunter LLP. Taco Van Papa from the head table, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Before I introduce the #1 mayor in this great country, Canada, allow me to say something about my law firm, Macquarie Hunter. We've been here for about 50 years. As a matter of fact, 50 years next year. We're going to be celebrating our anniversary, and if I can, thank you. If I can say somewhat immodestly that any organization that can survive and thrive for half a century is probably doing something right. So stay tuned. We're going to have a great party next year sometime. So throughout our 50-year history, Macquarie Hunter has been very connected to Surrey. As a matter of fact, very connected to what we used to call Wally, what we now call downtown Surrey. And I congratulate the mayor and council, both the current mayor and council and the past mayor and council, for their vision to see what Surrey could become. That it could become a great city, it could have a downtown core, that it could become an economic engine for both the province and for the country. So congratulations to the mayor for that. You'll see this little brochure, so I'm going to cut my little presentation about my law firm short, because it all says right here, we're a full-service law firm. I would love to be everybody's lawyer, but that's probably not going to happen. But anyways, you can see, if you have any issues, any business or land development or personal legal issues, come see us. We can help you. And by the way, we're handing out cool stuff, like you can see out at the Macquarie Hunter Pavilion in the back there, including these nifty reading glasses, great for when you go visit your law firm, your lawyer, right? Because you put it on, helps you to read the small print, on the back of the contract. So might be a little awkward for anybody who's not a Macquarie Hunter client to take this to your lawyer, your other lawyer's firm, because it says very predominantly here MacquarieHunter.com. But go ahead, do that. I digress. I'm here to introduce the mayor. For more than 30 years, Linda Hepner has called Surrey her home. She has watched it grow from a rural suburb to the flourishing and thriving urban center as we know it today. As the second largest city in British Columbia, our mayor, Linda Hepner, continues to develop the policy to shape the growth and generate new opportunities for this great city. No question, Mayor Hepner is working hard on balancing sustainable growth while maintaining Surrey as an attractive destination for families and businesses, and doing all of that with an eye for creating abundant social, cultural, and economic opportunities for all who live and work in this beautiful city. The team at Macquarie Hunter is proud to have established our business in Surrey. Ladies and gentlemen, in her second State of the City address, please help me in join me in welcoming Mayor Hepner.
I do need a pair of glasses. Those will be great. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really impressed that we've got a sports announcer as the MC, because I think he was right. Politics and sports actually have quite a bit in terms of a correlation. You get a lot of wins, you get a lot of losses, and by the way, you certainly get some intended and unintended body checks. So, I thank you all for joining me today for this annual State of the City presentation, because for me this is really an opportunity that's a great way to report back to our shareholders, and namely the thousands of men and women and families who call Surrey their home. And it's also a chance to highlight some of our city's biggest issues, opportunities, and achievements. It's a chance for us to emphasize the fact that in Surrey we do things differently, and quite frankly, that's very deliberate. For instance, whether it's City Hall or our business community, more and more, we're thinking globally and we're acting locally. We're also putting even more importance on being a smart city, a city that looks at issues and challenges that might be slightly out of the box or even out of our comfort zone, and a city that loves big ideas and all the work and challenges that go with them. We're a city that's looking to put technology in all its forms, both at work at City Hall and throughout our community. Each of these points underpin the Surrey that you see today, but perhaps even more importantly, they underpin the Surrey that you're going to see more and more of in the future and in the years ahead. So today is a chance for us all to get caught up, to talk about what still needs to be done as we continue to work together to shape the city and its future. And with the world marking the 400th anniversary of William Shakespeare's legacy last month, I thought he might be a good place to start today, because even 400 years ago, Shakespeare understood what was at the heart of any city when he said, "What is a city but the people?" And 4 centuries later, when it comes to city and ours in particular, I think he hit the nail right on the head. I want to say more about our people a little later on, but before I do, I'd like to recognize my hardworking colleagues on City Council. I have been in municipal politics now for 12 years, and I can tell you that when it comes to getting things done, a great team is absolutely the single biggest driver in delivering for the people of this city. When it comes to municipal government, we have got one of the very best teams in the whole country. I'd like to ask them to stand and ask you to join me in recognizing them and thanking them. Okay. Okay, that was just a little too soon because I'm doing it individually. So I want you to see them, each of them, for who they are, and to say a special thank you. You can hold your applause now, though, because they know it's come and gone. But I have Councillor Tom Gill, Councillor Bruce Hain, Councillor Vera LaFranc, Councillor Mary Martin, Councillor Mike Starchuk, Councillor Barbara Steele, Councillor Judy Villeneuve, and Councillor Dave Woods. I also want to recognize the representatives of our local MPs and MLAs who are unable to join us today because both houses are sitting as we speak, but they have set representatives here. MP John Aldag, MP Diane Watts, Minister Peter Fassbender, Minister Amrik Verk, Minister Stephanie Cadieux, MLA Marvin Hunt, and also joining us in the room are Langley City Councillor Rudy Stortboom, Langley Township Councillor Charlie Fox, and I believe we have a Port Moody Councillor here as well, Diana Dilworth. Thank you very much for that. And finally, I'd like to thank our senior management team who are here today under the leadership of our city manager, Vince Lalonde. Vince, would you and your team please stand and be recognized? So along with my councillors, day in and day out, this dedicated team of men and women makes our city work effectively and efficiently. So when you've got the kind of bench strength that we've got on council and in the ranks of our city staff, it's really easy to see why I believe I have the best team anywhere in the country. When I thought about how to capture the essence of this year's presentation, I'm going to tell you, I really did struggle a little bit, because when you look, I've now had a year and a half in, and when you look at the complexity of a major city like ours, it is really almost impossible to compress everything into a short luncheon presentation. For instance, we are a very different city than we were just a generation ago. In those days, we really were a bedroom community and a place where people slept, but not necessarily a place where people worked. So in the space of 20 very short years, that important demographic has changed dramatically. And now we're a city where 1/3 of our citizens are under 19, which does have the advantage of future-proofing our workforce. We're also a city with a population of 530,000 people, double what it was 25 years ago. That growth comes with big city issues, but also big city opportunities. That kind of growth also makes demands on today's Surrey as we work to provide families and their kids with everything they need: the parks, the pools, the rec centers, the rinks, and everything that makes for a great childhood. And that certainly does also include an aggressive advocacy for our schools. I think you'll see some announcements of that coming in the next few days, actually. We are a city that stretches out over 300 square kilometers, bigger than Vancouver, Richmond, and Burnaby combined. But there's something even more important about our size. You see, next to the talent of our citizens, our land is our most valuable asset, because it gives us options. Options to decide our future, the kind of options any city anywhere in the world would love to have. Let me put it another way in an international context. Surrey is physically 5 times larger than Manhattan, 6 times larger than Tel Aviv. We're almost 3 times larger than San Francisco, and nearly 4 times the size of Zurich. We're about 3 times the size of Dublin or Paris, and we're twice as large as Miami and Minneapolis. We're also 100 times larger than the 1 square mile that makes up the world's financial market called The City, London's financial district, which is now ranked as the most important in the world. So in a world where land is scarce and more valuable than ever, deciding what to do with it and making decisions about how to leverage it to our advantage is absolutely critical. But as you can see from these comparisons, size isn't necessarily everything. No jokes. Quite simply, it's what you actually do with your land that determines your economic and your social future. And with that much geography comes the obvious need for the kinds of roads, bridges, and transit that's essential to keeping our people connected over such a big area. We're also a city that's going to be home to more than 100,000 seniors by 2021. And these are no ordinary seniors. They're definitely not the seniors of years gone by. They're not going to sit in there and be relegated to a rocking chair. They are vibrant, they are active, and they are expecting to be an important part of our future. We're also a city that speaks more than 100 different languages. This diversity emphasizes our uniqueness as a multicultural community, but that same multiculturalism also demands that we find ways to talk to each other, to understand each other, and to ensure that kind of integration that's inclusive and builds a better Surrey. So with all that as a backdrop, it's important to note that even Shakespeare, more than 100 years ago, understood that cities are more than just bricks and mortar. Like any city with greatness on its mind, we are a city full of possibility. Fundamentally, this is Surrey at its core, and that sense of the possible is the foundation for our future. It's also the reason why our new economic diversification strategy has a laser-like focus on 5 key sectors that offer tremendous potential for job growth. You'll see them on the screen. And when you look at these 5 sectors, it should come as no surprise that they all capture have a couple of things that are in common: innovation and technology. The bottom line is that we want Surrey to be recognized at home and abroad for disruptive technology that builds global connections. I already see that when I look at so many of our businesses and their connections to the rest of the world. For example, what could someone living in Iowa, who's online checking to see if their local roads have been plowed after a snowstorm, have to do with Surrey? Well, it turns out that the Iowa Department of Transportation uses software created by a Surrey company, Safe Software, that provides real-time awareness of local driving conditions. And what does a financial analyst evaluating multi-currency and multi-asset derivative portfolios in London have to do with us? FinCAD, headquartered right here in Surrey, produces software for valuation and risk analytics used around the world in more than 1,000 organizations. It's something they sell to the world from their sales offices in New York, London, Dublin, and Beijing. Another example, when scientists at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, are conducting experiments at the world's largest particle accelerator located in Switzerland, what could that possibly have to do with Surrey? Particularly when you think about CERN's unique role in pure science research and how their work is helping scientists better understand how the universe is put together. Well, Micromatter Technologies got its start at the Triumph facility at UBC and is now based here in Surrey. They actually produce the world's only supply of diamond-like carbon foils that are integral to particle accelerators around the globe, for all of those of you that wanted to know about particle accelerators around the globe. But these are just fabulous stories. Meanwhile, on the other side of the continent, in the dining rooms of cruise ships sailing the Caribbean, what could guests possibly be enjoying that has to do with Surrey? Their meals feature products from Evergreen Herbs here in Surrey. Evergreen is a family-owned farm that operates 120 greenhouses, has more than 100 employees, and quite simply, they supply the very best of the best. Just look at the products on the wall behind me. Come on, it's an edible stage. Their approach to excellence and innovation has won them the very coveted Global Farm of the Year award. Global Farm of the Year. And one last example. What does a wind turbine powering a farm in the UK have to do with our city? Endurance Wind Power, which produces small-scale wind turbines, has its 40,000 square foot global headquarters in Campbell Heights. And with offices also in the UK, USA, Denmark, and Italy, Endurance won this year's Fast Track Company of the Year at Britain's prestigious Green Business Awards. These companies, and so many more like them, are just the tip of the creative and innovative iceberg that Surrey has become. This handful of innovative firms, companies that are already reaching out to markets well beyond our city limits, tells me something very important about our city and its future. We have no end of great ideas. We have unlimited potential. We have the land to grow and to build unique opportunities. And we have the day in and day out proof that when our people put their minds and their combined talent and expertise on any issue, we can do absolutely anything we set our mind to. Quite frankly, I expect us to continue punching above our weight. I expect us to be featured more and more on the world stage. And that reputation and exposure is already paying off. Many of you know that for the second year in a row, Surrey has been named one of the top 7 finalists by the Intelligent Communities Forum based in New York. Over 400 global cities vied for that. Judging is strict and detailed and rigorous. Montreal and Winnipeg are also on the list, along with cities from Germany, New Zealand, and Taipei. You see, I want our city to take its place at the table with the best and the brightest from around the world, and not because of a civic ego, but because more and more, that's where this city belongs. In fact, no matter what we're doing at City Hall, or anywhere in the city for that matter, the people that Shakespeare was talking about, those creative, innovative, and committed people, are always at the core of great and successful cities and ideas. As an example, let's look through an environmental lens just for a moment. Our city's leading edge Rethink Waste program. Surrey has now one of the highest diversion rates in the entire world. We divert our waste from outdated landfills. And we were the very first municipality to use a 100% compressed natural gas fleet of collection trucks. That's saving the city and our taxpayers about $4.5 million annually. And today I'm happy to tell you that we've expanded that collection of organics to the growing number of apartments that are in our city, which means we're going to build on the program's already successful and impressive results. And right now we're in the construction phase of the biofuel facility that we talked about last year. It will be North America's first integrated waste management system for organics, and it is set to open on target for the spring of next year. That state-of-the-art facility is going to convert Surrey's organic waste into renewable gas, as well as compost products suitable for landscaping and for agricultural use, bringing us back full circle to the display behind me. Honestly, that is really a closed loop. So not only will this be the largest facilities of its kind in the country, it will also have the capacity to process 100% of our organic waste over the next 25 years. I'm pleased to announce today that the gas will be sold into the BC Fortis grid. And that is the very first agreement of its kind in British Columbia. I see Fortis here today, so thank you for that, but we're excited about that agreement. We expect to use a lot of that renewable gas and energy for our own city operations, and any that we don't will be purchased back by Fortis and will become revenue to the city. But perhaps even more impressive, Surrey will be one of the very first cities to reach carbon neutrality through innovation rather than simply purchasing offsets, which cities today typically do. Yeah, I think that's something we can be very proud of. And speaking of first, we're also the very first city in the world to integrate IBM Watson into our easy-to-use My Surrey app, which residents can use to access and to maximize city services, all with a single click. So it's fast and it's efficient, and it provides residents with a much better customer service. So that commitment to innovation also extends to the kind of partnerships we're building. And I think that's a pretty operative word today. I want to talk about partnerships because that's part of the reason we are so successful. Partnerships that are helping to make us even smarter and more unique. We know a thing about partnerships. We know a thing or two about leveraging those kinds of partnerships. When you think about it, we've done it with respect to Innovation Boulevard, and we've a big, audacious goal in the beginning, and we've certainly seen that as a success through the health development sector there. And I am excited to announce today that we're going to do it again in a big way, this time expanding our network in clean technology by creating a Cloverdale node. Together with our partners, KPU, SFU, and Newton's Foresight Accelerator Center, we have created a plan that will transform the lands at the KPU Tech site into a center of excellence for clean technology research and full-on advanced manufacturing. It's going to be called the KPU Foresight Clean Tech Global Innovation Zone. Really, Global Innovation Zone is all you really have to remember. Let me just paint a picture of what that actually means. A campus-like environment that brings together education, high-intensity training, world-class research, influential government partners, cutting-edge manufacturing, the brightest clean tech startups out of Foresight, and marries all of that with international industry successful partners, and it's going to happen all in a single location. So by any measure, it's a very potent formula that is going to ensure that clean tech innovation and manufacturing takes place right here in Surrey, right here in Canada, especially in a country that has dwindling manufacturing. We are also looking to break ground as early as next spring on that, and we're going to call it the Canadian Centre of Excellence. Another partnership example recognizes that by 2050, the world will have 2 billion more mouths to feed. And quite frankly, only 2 things are going to make that possible: agriculture innovation and technology. With the help of each level of government and the private sector, the Biopod Agriculture Training and Research Demonstration Greenhouse that I mentioned last year has now just opened in Newton at the John Vulcan Academy. The Biopod initiative is meant to bolster and grow our community's already innovative ag industry. It establishes a regional hub of ag tech advancements and research, and it also provides valuable skills and certification training for the students at the John Vulcan Academy. Ag technologies will be tried and tested, and young lives will be turned around with training and good jobs in a growing international industry. I'd like to go back to Innovation Boulevard just for a moment, because this next bit of news is just hot off the press. I'm thrilled to announce that Dr. Peter Payne will be joining Innovation Boulevard's Health Tech Innovation Foundation as its brand new CEO. Peter holds a Dr. Payne holds a PhD in pathology from UBC, and he has had considerable leadership role with BCTIA and is currently with SFU's Venture Connections. He's an established veteran in running a variety of companies, and he has enjoyed much success in marketing medical devices around the world. So I really welcome Dr. Payne's advancement relative to our foundation. I look forward to seeing what more can be achieved at Innovation Boulevard's already successful background. So with his guidance, I look forward to bigger stories to come. Again and again, and time after time, we are showing that partnerships and creativity and technology are the new construction materials of this smart city of ours. In fact, those are also the attributes we're seeing in our strategy to attract and to grow the creative industries, and why 2 of this year's business announcements happen to be about Hollywood, or more specifically, Hollywood North. You know, we're only 5 months into the year, but when it comes to issuing film permits, we're 70% ahead of where we were last year, and last year was a record-breaking year. But even bigger news today is the arrival of a film studio to Surrey. Skydance Studio is a California-based media company with interests in movies and television. They're the people who brought us the most recent versions of Mission Impossible, Star Trek, and the Emmy-nominated sitcom Grace and Frankie. And frankly, they're now here in Surrey. Skyline will be moving into what was the former Pacific Press building in Newton. They're putting up 5 sound stages to accommodate a production staff of up to 400 people as they produce programming for Netflix on a multi-year feature production about a city of the future called Altered Carbon. Really? Really? What better place to tell a story about a city of the future than right here in Surrey, a real city of the future? So, from the glitter and glamour of Hollywood to the most ordinary of city services, we've made that underlying commitment to doing things differently, on purpose, smarter and better. We've already started converting all of our streetlights to LED. It's a 5-year process with eventual savings of approaching $2 million. And that'll all go back to our cities and our citizens. So we're also expanding our free Wi-Fi service from 18 to 48 city locations. We're using our state-of-the-art traffic management center to ease the flow of traffic across our busiest routes, as well as putting those same closed-circuit cameras to work to help the RCMP gather evidence about traffic collisions or crime. And speaking of crime, I want to reinforce how important public safety is to all of us. But like most of you here today, I want every discussion about public safety to be based on serious thought, a robust discussion that is based on facts, and a discussion that moves us beyond the colorful but, quite frankly, unhelpful rhetoric of shock jocks. It certainly doesn't mean the issue is to be ignored. On the contrary, but while the recent statistics released by our police force show that property crime and violent crime are trending downwards, which is what we want, more still needs to be done to put an end to the violence that is associated with gangs and illegal drugs. And just unfortunately, as good as the latest statistics or the trend might be, we all know that one single shot fired by a gang member instills or shatters our image of public safety and pushes any otherwise positive news or trend to the back pages of our newspapers. Really, it means we have to come down hard on those who show such a complete disregard for our neighborhoods and any city anywhere in BC or Canada. We saw just a couple of days ago in a neighboring community. Our police officers are working hand in hand with those police forces across the region because the issue is bigger than any one city or any one neighborhood. But today I did want to give you a sample of some of the measures and some of the strategies that we have taken and deployed over this last year. First, we have the 100 new officers that I announced last year. We have an additional 16 more coming this year. We've hired our first director of public safety, and we'll deliver our new integrated public safety strategy later this fall. The Safe City initiative that the RCMP just undertook has just concluded with more than 500 unregistered guns being turned over to the police and taken off our streets. And with more and more police work, looking more and more like social work, we've introduced the SMART team. This is an integrated team approach that includes law enforcement, corrections, housing, social services, income assistance, and education. They meet every week, and together they identify individuals that are at an elevated risk of potentially harming themselves or others. And typically within 24 to 48 hours, they intervene with services that can turn things around before they get out of hand or escalate into something that requires a more costly police response. We're also providing 24-hour access to our traffic control center for cameras for evidentiary purposes. We've expanded our RAP program that reaches out to at-risk youth, and we've expanded our RCMP youth unit for school liaison work. And at the same time, when it comes to community outreach, we've introduced everything from the 20-plus public forums to the very popular one-on-one with a cop called Coffee with a Cop. Recognizing that safer streets require the active involvement of every one of us, and particularly parents, we've grown the grassroots Block Watch program to now more than 800 groups across this city. More than 200 of those just this last year. And the RCMP have created their very first diversity unit to help reinforce positive relations with all our communities. And meanwhile, the former City Hall has received nearly $25 million lift from the province. That's in order to expand and create more courtrooms, as well as integrated services network that will help address the root causes of crime and provide timely support for cases involving mental health, youth, and family matters, all in that same location. This is really Surrey's version of the downtown community court that Vancouver has had for some years now. And still in the arena of public safety, I'm announcing today the creation of a children's safety village here in Surrey. We have looked at similar villages in other parts of the country, and we think it will be timely fit for our kids in our city. These kid-sized buildings offer programs and classes about road and traffic safety, avoiding drugs and gangs, making good life choices, internet and cybersecurity, emergency preparedness, and frankly, building solid, positive, long-lasting relationships between kids and our police officers. It's being designed for a Newton location. And like so much of what I've already said, our public safety does rely on good people to make all the difference. Police officers, social workers, health professionals, role models, mentors, and perhaps more than any other group, parents. That very same focus is needed when it comes to helping our most vulnerable, to fostering arts and culture, to even providing infrastructure families expect when they move into Surrey. It's a reason we provided support to the Sarah McLaughlin School of Music for at-risk youth. It's the reason our Homelessness and Housing Society continues to invest in social housing projects by looking at social issues with a fresh set of eye and using ideas at our leading edge. We can implement unique and real-time solutions to the social problems that exist in every community. It's also the reason we've defined a cultural corridor along the length of King George Boulevard, and we're now working with BC Artscape, known for their ability to access and leverage millions of dollars to better establish that community cultural hub that we spoke of. It's why, as a city, we're investing $334 million into capital projects this size, of every shape and size. Everything from widening the King George Boulevard to making flood control improvements in the lowlands, to investing $10 million in Cloverdale for the museum expansion, and adding in with more interactivity for children, to making sure that Newton continues to be built out as a soccer center of excellence. It's also why we've invested more than $100 million to build the new Guildford and Grandview pools. And it's why later this year we'll be starting construction on the North Surrey Arena Replacement Project, and why the Clayton Multipurpose Facility will be designed this year with construction starting at year end. We're also building a new $35 million Cloverdale Ice Arena to be opened in 2018. And we're working with the YMCA to identify and to locate a second Y site in Surrey. There is no question. We have a lot going on, more than I can list in the available time. But the one thing all of these have in common, whether it's new technology for jobs, new community centers, new ice rinks, adding 1,000 people every month, no matter what the project, everybody wants to keep moving. And when it comes to getting from here to there, as quickly as possible and smoothly, transportation is key. You didn't think you were going to get away without hearing about transportation, did you? Particularly here in Surrey, where the bulk of the Lower Mainland's growth is. In fact, good transportation options are more than just key. They are absolutely critical. And there's no question that we've had our share of speed bumps along the way. But there is also good news and plenty of reason for optimism. Both the federal and the provincial government are on board in significant and creative ways that will help make those financial numbers ultimately work. In addition, while we've been waiting for the final go-ahead, we have not been idle. Design, planning, and costing have all been going on behind the scenes. That means we can hit the ground running. Look, there's no question that I'd like things to have moved along a little quicker. But that being said, I believe we will be in construction mode in 2018. And if I can be a little tongue-in-cheek about transit, as Winston Churchill famously said, this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. Yeah. And as we continue to develop our transit opportunities here on the ground, I'm pleased to announce that we're also looking at the sky. Surrey is currently in discussions with a consortium of private helicopter companies to create a network of helipads across our city. It really shouldn't come as any surprise. We are attracting more than 2,000 new companies every single year, including regional headquarters as well as national and multinational companies looking to set up shop. We've got the lowest municipal taxes per capita in the region and the second lowest business taxes. So when you combine that with Surrey's growth as the province's second municipal core, metropolitan core, you can see that we have created a demand for helicopter service between Surrey and other centres, such as Vancouver, Victoria, or even Kelowna. So together with the private helicopter companies, we are exploring potential sites both in North Surrey and in South Surrey. So ladies and gentlemen, last year I wrapped up by emphasizing that every great city is a work in progress and that all of us have the opportunity to write that very next chapter in this great city of ours, and that work continues. In fact, if we do it right and we're smart about it, our story, Surrey's story, will never be finished. And who better to close and to inspire us with than Shakespeare? Because the truth is, he was absolutely right. What is a city but the people? And thank you, all you smart people in this room, because you are helping us grow the great city that we have such a vision for tomorrow. I thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Body check coming?
There's more. Mayor Hepner, ladies and gentlemen, your mayor. You're not done yet. Another gentleman's coming out for a moment. I'm trying to get out of your way. Hey, hey. Thank you so much. Please take your seats. Body check.
That was a body check.
We have another guest coming up in just a moment, and then we're almost done as well here this afternoon. A great day. In baseball, as it is in politics, you're nothing without an ace starter. You have a Cy Young threat right here in Linda Hepner. She can also hit for power. She can hit a curveball. She can hit the knuckleball, and she can run as well, as she did successfully in the last election.
Yeah.
Try the veal. I'm here all week, folks. A triple threat in Linda Hepner. And also, just before our next guest, she said so many great things do you want to take home and you'll remember. Two things I remember from the whole day, though. If you go to Van City Credit Union, Pravin Narotam's going to sing to you. I don't know where he is. I remember Savin, he'll sing to you for business. And I can't recall who said this, but this is huge. Size is not important. That resonates. I wish everybody knew that. That's what we learned today. Now, the pride of Fortis, BC, will join us, David Bennett, to come forward and say a few words about our keynote speaker. Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, and I'm going to make this short because the mayor's been standing for a long time. So, thank you, Mayor Hepner. I'm inspired to hear your plans for Surrey as a resident myself of Surrey. We at Fortis BC have our operations center based here in Surrey. We have over 700 staff in our Surrey operations, which is about a third of our staff in British Columbia, and we're located right off the Fraser Highway. More than half of those staff members actually live in Surrey, like myself. We're also committed to helping the community grow and be well positioned for future growth. I think the mayor mentioned our biogas initiative and how we've been working with Surrey, and Surrey's been really a leader in the world in municipal waste, and Fortis has been part of that. We're the only company that offers a biogas program in North America of the structure that we have. So it's great to work with with municipalities like Surrey on those kinds of really real initiatives that people don't think of when they think of utilities. It's clean tech, and it's very interesting to work on. We're currently upgrading our natural gas pipeline that runs from Surrey to Coquitlam, and to ensure that we're able to serve homes and businesses in these communities well into the future. For this project alone, and we haven't even started on the project, we're just in the planning stage, we've invested about $8.7 million into Lower Mainland communities since 2013, providing business opportunities for 37 local vendors. And today, through our parent company, Fortis, we announced that we're going to be switching Hawaii off diesel fuel. So we're going to be shipping clean LNG from our Tilbury Island facility to Hawaii to allow them to switch from diesel fuel to natural gas for generating electricity. And so we're continuing to do lots of right things right here. So if you'd like to learn more about that or anything else that we're doing, I'd encourage you, on your table, there's our website, talkingenergy.ca, is geared towards looking at some of the projects we're working on. And there's also a draw to win an Apple iPhone SE. So I'd like to wrap up today by mentioning a fabulous organization we have here in Surrey, SOS Children's Village. With the help of sponsors, donors, and community partners, SOS Children's Village supports children who have lost parental care. An SOS Village is a group of structured family homes where children grow up with an SOS mother or SOS parents, a supportive community helping development, education, and health supports for each child. And so, Mayor Hepner, it's my pleasure to give you this gift, a donation in your name, to the SOS Children's Village.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's great. I love this story.
Thank you, everyone.